Well, today I'd like to play with an idea today and Wednesday. And quick reminder, we won't be meeting on Friday. But I want to play with an idea that really is, I don't know how to describe how powerful this is. When we've, and a couple, let's see, Buddy's in there. I'm trying to see who else is in the coaching. Jason's in there. We've played with this idea in the wellness coaching class at a much, much deeper level than we're going to in here. But the obvious power of this is so remarkable that it's hardly, you can hardly put into words what an immensely beneficial knowledge or beneficial thing it is to have the knowledge of what we're going to play with today and Wednesday. It is profound in its nature, and so I hope that you'll kind of sense that as we start into this. I need 4 volunteers, however, but I need 4 people who have had something that, I'll say it in the wrong way, something that they got angry about, or something that caused them to feel really upset or frustrated, or the right way to say it would be that something happened and you chose anger, but we'll say it the other way. Something in in a recent event that really just kind of, you got that feeling. I need 4 people. Is there anyone in here who's had something recently that kind of ticked them off? I know I said that incorrectly, but I need 4 people. It doesn't matter with anything. It could be with an umpire.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, no, hold on. Just raise your hand if you're one. So, okay, you can come up here. Okay, so I need somebody else. So 2, who else? Has anyone else had something? 3 and 4. Okay, so Buddy, you'll be 3. Diana, 2. You'll be number 4. Okay, so now, let's see, I need one more. I need this one now. Let's grab this one. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little conversation, and we're going to pretend that you're not here. Do you have a phone?
Yes.
Can I borrow it for a sec? We're going to pretend that we're not here, and I want you to just observe how things happen here. Just kind of watch the dynamics, the energy, the feel of this as we have this little conversation, okay? And let me say from the beginning, don't take anything that I do or say in the next 5 or 10 minutes personally, okay? Just go with it, and so we're gonna, now you're not, as far as we're concerned, you're not here, okay? So we're gonna have this little conversation. So tell me what happened. What happened for you?
Okay, so I got married and I have a 4-year-old now, and every other weekend her mom's supposed to come get her. So she's supposed to have supervised visitation. Anyways, she didn't come get her. She wanted to take her trick-or-treating on Halloween.
Just a, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm just talking to somebody here. Yeah, get back to me on that. That's really important. Yeah. So, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to keep going?
No. So yeah, about Thursday, I think. Thursday, about 10. Yeah, that would be great. Okay, thanks. See you. Bye.
So anyways, she didn't come get her on Halloween. Said she was, and she waited around all afternoon for her mom to come get her. Didn't. Last weekend, she was supposed to come get her. It was her weekend. Didn't come get her. And she called at 11, said, okay, I'll be there at 11. So we tell Rylan, She'll be here at 11. She waits around every time the doorbell rings. She's like, Mom! But it's never Mom. So then she's going to come get her at 4, and we have an appointment to go pick up a TV. And so we have to text her and say, if you're not here by 4, you can't have her. So she didn't go to her mom's. Then she called and wants her next weekend. But she has stuff to do Rylan has things to do next weekend. So we said, you can't have her. And then she gives us some sob story. It's my birthday, I need her. And we're like, it's not your weekend.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, oh yeah, I said to not call me back, but that's interesting. So, yeah. Can you arrange with the girls to get the equipment and make sure they've got all the soccer balls by 5:30? Yeah. We'll start practicing then. Yeah. Great. Thanks. See you. Bye. Sorry, we've just got, I'm coach of several teams, and I'm trying to get everything worked out, you know, and so go ahead.
Okay. So, anyways, we say she can't have her next weekend, and then she calls completely forgetting, so she's going to go an entire month without seeing her, and then the next weekend she wants to be able to keep her longer because they're going to have Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know, wouldn't you want to see your kid? I mean, I'm grateful that Rylan's not going over there because she comes back with a horrible attitude, and it just makes her, it's not a good place for her to be, and she doesn't know how to handle it because she's only 4. So we're glad she's not going over there, but then it's sending her through these emotions all the time now. So we don't even want to tell her that she's going to her mom's until we know her mom's like 5 minutes away. But then you have to prep her emotionally that she's going over there in the first place.
I wonder what my kid's doing right now.
How's your teams? Are they winning?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
What a trooper.
Okay, who did I say was second? Okay, let me just check one thing here. Okay. All right, so Diana, what's going on for you?
Well, we have this big sale at work, and my boss has delegated different tasks for us to do. I've achieved mine and always achieve mine for him every year. Whenever we're asked to do things that pertain to this event, you know, I do my best to follow his directions and do what's asked of me. So I get all these people committed to coming to this event. And we have this work meeting on Saturday morning. Saturday morning comes, and he's in a bad mood. You could just tell because...
What's your boss's name?
Zach.
Zach.
Mm-hmm. And Zach's in a bad mood. Our store's down for the week.
Was it because of what? I mean, did you make him in a bad mood? Or?
I don't think so. Oh. I don't think I
You should have said something nice to him, made him feel better, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
But I was to the meeting on time, and I thought that was...
Is that unusual?
Slightly.
So that probably would have made him happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the meeting, he continues to point out, I guess, failures or places where we're not excelling. And he's looking right at me, and he's then proceeds to use me as an example. I have the most people on this list of invitations that we're sending out. And he says, well, I mean, I don't even think you confirmed. Of course, you know, did you confirm? So he's already assuming that I didn't do...
You should have told him.
I did, but in a way where instead of just saying, yes, I did confirm.
But you probably should have sent an email or something like a week before, or, you know, so that he knows, so there's no question, don't you think?
Well, that's maybe a solution.
Well, there you go.
Instead of just saying, yes, I confirmed, I kind of felt it.
I mean, if you were really on top of your game, you would have covered all the bases, so when he comes into the meeting, he looks at you and goes, man, you did a great job. But you apparently missed out something. There's something you missed doing so that he did hone in on you and really, you know what I mean?
You got this all figured out, huh?
Well, it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't obvious at that moment, but I felt attacked and snapped back at him, and pretty much.
So you're taking this amazing class where you learned that it's not possible for you to be attacked.
Not possible.
Right?
Right.
You choose to feel attacked.
Right, I chose.
And see, you don't have to choose that. You could choose differently, couldn't you?
Right. After it was all said and done, I realized that I didn't make the right choice, and it only affected.
But see, if you'd have thought about it beforehand, if you'd have visualized that you could have, you know, had a peaceful experience, and then whatever, you could have put this bubble around yourself, and whatever words come at you, they just bounce right off.
That would be great.
Wouldn't that be a great idea?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm in the bubble right now.
We're not taking this personal, right?
So much for the boss, now it's him, huh?
Come on up, buddy.
Sorry, the boss.
I always lose so many friends when I do this. So what's going on with you?
A couple weeks ago, my good friend that's been in the hospital for like a year or two was able to go out on a weekend pass. It just happened to be the weekend.
He was, say that again? He was able to go on a weekend pass?
Yeah, he's in the mental institution.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
He was able to come out on a weekend pass and spend, I guess, the night with me Friday into Saturday. And it just happened to be on a big event that I have planned. So I told him he can come. And I asked him if he had all his medicine when I picked him up and everything, make sure he's all okay, so he didn't flip out or anything. So as we were out there, I told him it would be like an all-day thing. We wouldn't be back until later that night. We'll be leaving right as I picked him up because it's a couple hours away. So when I get there after like 2 or 3 hours, it's like 11 o'clock at night. He's like, yeah, I got to be back home at 8 o'clock in the morning. I forgot my medicine. And I kind of got really upset with him because I triple checked, made sure he had it. And I'm like, well, what about the medicine that you had there? He's like, oh, that's not the right kind. I'm like, I thought we went over having everything. He's like, yeah, I just have stuff I have to do at home.
You know, I had this brother that he had a stroke because he's an alcoholic, and he had a stroke. He had got in an accident, and then he couldn't. We had to take him everywhere. It was like for a week we couldn't do anything with our own lives because we had to take him to the hospital. And we had to go down to the, what is it called? What's that place called in Salt Lake? The not Primary Children's, but do you know which place I'm talking about? Where anyway, there's a place. What do they call that? Where it's like the worst cases. What do they call that in there? The worst situations that you can be in, and they're taking care of them. What is that called?
ICU?
Yeah, ICU. And he was in there so we had to go down there like 3 times a week, just to make sure that, just to see, because we didn't know if he was going to be alive and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And so we went down there, and we had to take care of him. And then finally, when it was time to go, there was nobody to take care of him because he's not married, because nobody would ever want to marry an alcoholic, you know, and he smoked all the time, and so now he's living in this little trailer, and he calls up. He likes to water ski, so he comes up with it. And he can still water ski a little, but so we took him a few times, or at least twice, but you know, it's just not the same. It's been a while. It's been quite a while, yeah. Let's see.
Sounds like you're reminiscing a lot. You should probably go say hi.
Yeah, I should do that. That's a good idea. You know, he can't do email very well, and so I've tried doing email with him a little bit, but that's a good idea. I should go down and visit him. He just lives in Murray, and we're going to be down there this weekend anyway. We got this conference that we're going to go to we think might be helpful for some personal, it's not really personal, but it's just stuff that, you know, professional, personal side. It kind of applies to this class, sort of. And we'll be there for 3 days. Can you believe it? 3 days. We're going to be, man, it's like 9 o'clock till 6 for 3 days. Have you ever done anything for that long? Holy cow. I remember one NLP class we once took that seemed like that one took forever. And this is going to be longer than that. I mean, man.
Yeah, those conferences and stuff like that, they drain you.
It's really, really draining. Okay, well, thanks for talking to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. She does not want to come out now.
No, because mine's little, itty bitty.
Okay.
The girl problem. Ready for it?
So tell me about your girl problem.
So this morning, like 5 hours ago, 4 hours ago, I was called the bathroom, but no, my mom was in there.
You were called?
I called the bathroom.
Called the bathroom?
Yeah. Like, my turn to get up and get ready.
Oh, okay.
And she was in there. So I was late to school today.
You didn't want her to be in there?
No. We set a time. She asked me when I'm going to wake up. So I get up the time I said I was going to wake up, and she's in there. She's going to get in after me. But she was in there.
But she was in there before, so it got in the way of your day.
Yeah. So I was late to school.
So you felt a little bit...
Rushed and irritated and...
So you didn't like that very much?
Because we plan it all the time. Usually I go work out in the morning on Mondays for volleyball.
Mm-hmm. Go work out with the team?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, my alarm kind of went off 5 minutes late because I pushed snooze. So maybe that's my fault. But she was going to wake up like a half an hour after me.
So you feel a little bit justified in her being in there, but
Yes,
not
but
completely?
At the same time, yeah. Because it happens a lot. And then she blamed me for stealing her gel afterwards. And I didn't touch her gel.
So you felt like she was accusing you of something?
Yeah.
That wasn't.
Always accuses me. I don't have it. I don't know where it's at.
Really? You don't like that?
No. So I got a really nice voicemail.
Oh, she
she called me and told me you stole my gel.
She told you that you stole her gel.
Uh-huh.
And you felt surprised by that, like...
I didn't even use gel this morning.
Oh.
So I don't know. But I'm the only girl at home, so maybe that's why.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So you
I'm
okay
just kinda
with
like-
it now, or
Huh?
are things okay now? I mean...
I think so.
Oh. Okay.
But it just kind of was at the spur of the moment.
Something unexpected that got in your way of your routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Well, thanks for sharing. Okay, you can have a seat now.
Yay.
All right. So let me ask Diana, Maggie, and Buddy. When I was listening to you, did you feel like I heard what you said? What you wanted to say? Buddy?
Parts of it.
Really?
A little bit, and then you flopped it, and you started thinking about your own stuff. So you heard the first part, and you related, and then you went off.
Okay. So you didn't really feel, in all, you didn't feel like you were heard?
Takes a lot of work, I guess, to really affect me.
Okay. Maggie?
I actually have a friend who treats me like that every time I talk to her, so I just don't talk to her anymore, unless she wants to.
You don't like that?
No, because, I mean, if it was like every once in a while, like, I'm not going to take what you did to me personally because you've never treated me that way before.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's like every time we're on the phone, something else is more important regardless of what it is.
When you're talking to her from a distance, she's
Yeah,
not
'cause we live far away,
listening to you.
And so it's always, oh, somebody's on the other line, and regardless of who it is, they're more important. Or, you know, if something else is going around, oh, I'll call you back, like right in the middle.
And how does that make you feel? How do you
It just kind of says,
feel when you do
I
that?
don't really care. Like, you're there, and like,
Mhm.
I guess it kind of says that to me, because with you, it's a little bit different. With her, like, I know she cares because we've been friends so long, but it's like she doesn't care about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's there to be there, to like kind of show they're there, but they have no clue and no care about what you're saying.
Or
Everything that's going
even-
on with them is what's on their mind.
Or even more how you felt.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I noticed was it wasn't about my feelings, it was about your solution to the problem, or your observation and diagnosis of how I could have done things differently.
And how did you feel when that was happening? Did you feel heard?
No.
Like what you wanted to tell me that was had some energy, emotional energy, did you feel like I cared?
No.
No.
I felt like I was back in the same situation with the boss.
Again, with me.
Yeah. Just kind of reliving that feeling that.
So you had a yucky feeling again.
Yeah.
I reinforced that. Yeah.
It's kind of like you have all these emotions and you want to express them and share them somehow because they're building and just building pressure inside of you. So when you share them and they don't get shared, it's more like you get even more feelings and you don't know what to do with them. And it's like, because if somebody's really listening, they kind of go out and they just kind of, they're let go in a sense. But if somebody's not, they just kind of go back and then they bounce back. And then it's like, now what do I do?
Yep.
So you have to you keep trying to, with me at least, if the first person didn't listen, then I have to tell the story to a different person, and they didn't listen, and I didn't get what I feel I needed.
Somehow you want to get it out.
Keep going and talking to more and more and more and more people. And then by the end of the day, if nobody really listened to you, you still feel, you kind of even feel crummier and worse.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were listened to?
Yeah, which was different for me because I'm usually the one listening.
That felt unusual. Did you feel like I heard how you felt, or I sensed how you felt? Okay. Did you feel like after you said that, and that was kind of I sensed that wasn't a big issue for you.
No.
That wasn't a deeply penetrating, oh my gosh, my mom is there. Oh. You weren't there. It was just kind of a surface tension. But did you feel like after you said it that there was more of it or less? Really? So what went on? What did you notice, the class as observers, what did you notice about the first three in comparison to the fourth, as far as what it looked and felt like? What did you notice, Bobby?
Like with the first three, just their problems were not validated. I don't know, and with the fourth one, you listened to her and wasn't you solved anything for her, you just repeated what she said back to her, showing that you were listening to her and that you cared about what she was saying, where the other ones, you could have cared less.
Yes.
Same kind of thing with the 7 times.
Yeah.
But in the first three, you were seeking to be understood before you were seeking to understand what she was saying. You wanted your point to come across, and you cared more about yourself more than you cared about what they had to say.
And he calls those two types of listening, the type that I did for the first three, what does he call those? The type of listening that that Covey says, because I'm stealing from Covey like crazy today.
I don't know what it's called. It looks like it's empathic.
Yeah. The first kind is what he calls autobiographical.
Yeah.
And the thing about this, it's really interesting. As soon as you tune into this way that people listen, you will realize nearly everyone listens this way. I think this is why parents and kids are always knocking heads, because the parents are going, well, this is how you should be. This is how you ought to be. You should be doing these things, like I was doing with Diana. Well, you should have sent him an email. Well, how much does she want to hear that? And how much do I know about that to say that I have any right to know if that's what she should do? And yet that's what people do, and especially if there's an authority kind of disparity there, where well, I know better. from my autobiography, I know better, so I'm going to tell you how you should be and what you should be doing. How do you feel when that happens? Has anyone ever loved being told what to do? Nobody does.
I just have a comment. And if you've ever seen two autobiographical people having conversations, it's funny if you ever see my mom does it a lot, and so does my brother-in-law, my uncle, my dad. They'll sit there every trying to have a conversation like, oh, the other day, well, I was walking the other day, and my son, oh, my son, well, my son, he did this. Oh, well, my daughter did this. And like, they just go back and forth like.
It's like a Seinfeld episode.
It's hilarious. Because you just kind of watch them like one-up each other and like go off on their own stories, and they don't even like have a conversation with each other.
Nobody hears each other. I remember on one occasion I was at Southern Illinois, and this was just so glaringly obvious when this took place. I was sitting we had this building, and I was sitting outside of the building, and there was this huge courtyard area, and on the opposite side there was a library, a big grassy area with sidewalks going through, and this group of about 8 girls. And I'm guessing they were still in high school. They looked a little bit younger than college students. These 8 girls were walking across the campus, walking across this courtyard. All 8 of them were talking at the same time, trying to be louder than the others so that their story could be heard. Nobody had a clue what anyone else was saying. They just wanted to say whatever they had to say. We're taught really, really a lot how to write. We're taught from the very, my 4-year-old can read. We're taught how to speak. We are not taught how to listen.
Amen.
Amen, sister. we don't ever do any training in listening, and Covey and others will contend that because of that, that's one of the major reasons why conflict takes place in a relationship. It's because we don't know how to listen. No one's ever been trained, and so all we do is what everyone else does. You went to the meeting and your boss yelled at you. Well, what you should have done, based on my autobiography, here's what I think you should be doing. Is that what Diana wants to hear? No. Let me get my cell phone. Tune out. Don't you just love talking to somebody and you know they're not there? There's nothing worse than you want to go. Did you want to do that with me? Going, I'm here.
Yeah,
they're not.
I did have the urge to like wave my hand.
And all the time. I mean, you're exactly right, Tara. So many times you hear conversations where people, as soon as they've unloaded, they send something that is kind of sensitive. Well, let me tell you about my situation. They one-up them. Me, you. Ever seen Brian Regan? You should watch that, Brian Regan. Me, you. I had 6 wisdom teeth taken out. We do that so much, but we don't understand the consequences of it. We don't tune into the results of when we do come from our own autobiography, when somebody, and I'm not saying we should do this all the time, but when there's an emotional component, a chance for that to come out and be released, that energy, and we don't let it, the idea is feelings buried alive never die. That's the idea behind it. And if you don't let them come out to die on the vine, those feelings that get buried alive, they grow. And then they grow and they grow, and we wonder why people suddenly just explode on each other. Well, that's why.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought was, that I think that's when it's especially dangerous. Sabi, you pointed out that being understood, and when we are trying to discuss, say, a miscommunication, something that could lead to an argument, I think the reason it gets to an argument is because we don't try to communicate to understand.
Yes.
Rather, all we are trying to do is just, this is how it was, and you did this, and if we took a conversation like you did with number 4 to try to just simply understand each other, that could be a lot more effective.
Well, and what happens as soon as you understand, then they feel understood, the energy of it kind of goes so much of the time. Not always, but so much of the time. I remember I was in a class down at BYU when I was working on my bachelor's degree, and it was called the Love Class. That was the name of the class. It was called the Love Class, and there was like 600 people in this class. I'm not kidding in the least. It was in the Joe Smith Auditorium, this huge, huge building with what, you know, it held 600 people. And so you'd have a speaker up there at the front, a different speaker every week for 2.5 hours or something like that. And I don't remember very much of anything, but I remember one guy who said, people would rather be right than happy. When you're in an argument, you're more determined to be right than you are to be happy. And so just what you guys are saying, when we turn to the opposite of autobiographical listening, which we'll explain in a second, we get what happened here with Michelle. We get a release of that energy. We get a, oh man, thanks for listening. But we've never been trained how to do this. Until I came upon this in Covey's 7 Habits, I'd never even heard of it before. The thought of listening there was a skill to it. And now as we're getting involved with the coaching, as our gentleman here and Susan is involved with it, we see it everywhere. I've seen conferences where this is the main idea. This is what we're going to talk about. Where this is the focus of the conference is on this kind of listening we're going to explore. So I want to hit this first part of this that kind of expands on, or at least it helps us clarify this problem just a little bit more. So this comes from, this was a workbook that I got from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits. I don't know where this workbook is. I can't. This is a long time ago when I got this, and it's amazing how this has expanded into so many different disciplines. But he says, up here he says, seek first to understand. This is the 5th habit of his 7 habits. He says, the single most important principle in the field of interpersonal relations is this: seek first to understand, then to be understood. Most people listen not with the intent to understand, but with the intent to reply. Is that accurate? Seinfeld. They never listen for the purpose of understanding. It's next break, I'm going to get it in there, what I want to say. Right? I should bring a clip in because it's so obvious. The key to influence is to first be influenced. If you went to a doctor, think how ridiculous this would be. If you went to a doctor and he or she said, well, you know, tell me what's going on, and you say, well, I got a little pain in my head, without any other, or I got something going on here that I don't quite understand, without doing any kind of diagnosis, giving you a prescription. Here's your prescription for that pain in your... How much faith would you have in that prescription?
I noticed that I worked at clinics for many years, and I noticed that I could ask the same question, but how I, like my nonverbal, with his language. For example, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I could come in and I'm triaging them and I'm just asking them questions and I'm typing away what they're telling me. But the way that they communicated with me was more open when I didn't type, when I just sat and looked at them and said, so tell me what you're here for. And it maybe took 2 more minutes of my time. You have to be precise and you have to be quick, but they're a lot more open and you can tell they felt a lot more comfortable.
So, and by doing that, they were able to give you more information and you understood maybe more accurately what the problem was.
Absolutely.
But if you just came in and they said, well, I got a thing here and okay, we'll take this drug. See, the whole doctor's creed is diagnose before you prescribe. Well, in relationships, it's seek first to understand, then seek to be understood. He says in here, and every time and I know this is, I think a lot of us will sense this intuitively, that this makes sense, and our own experience will bear this out as well. I know with my wife, whenever there's any conflict, I come back to, well, there's my problem. He says at the beginning or the end of this first paragraph, at the root of personality conflicts is the feeling that he or she doesn't understand me. Isn't that an interesting idea? Most of the time when you're in an argument, you're arguing not to be, there's nothing about, let me hear your point of view. It's, well, I'm right, and I'm not budging, no matter what. And if you change the direction we're going, I'm still going to be right. I'd rather be right. There's not a sense of, well, let me understand your point of view. Let me understand your side of the story. So he goes into some of these autobiographical ways. So if you go to this second page really quickly, and I just want you to look at these and say, okay, does that look like how I was with our first 3? First, he says there's 3 or 4 ways, and in our coaching, we find that there's far more than that. But we evaluate, we judge. So, you know, you should have, you know, pretty dumb for doing that. Oh, thank you for understanding what a great person I am. Probing, we ask questions. Probing has the appearance of seeking to understand, but the questions we ask come from our past experience, not from the present moment. We use them to direct the conversation toward the things that our autobiography makes important. Because they come from our autobiography, they make it impossible for us to understand or benefit beyond our own limited paradigm. We advise. We tell somebody how they should do things, like I did with Diana. We interpret. We try to explain, well, here's your problem, here's why you're having a problem. It says autobiographical responses aren't necessarily wrong or bad per se. They can be helpful if they're based upon an accurate understanding of the other person's situation. The tendency in most of us, however, is that we use these types of responses before we have sought to gain a complete understanding. Okay? So the idea there behind autobiographical listening, and I want you to just kind of get a sense of this, we're going to play with it far more fully on Wednesday, is how many times in your conversations do you find yourself coming from your own past or your own experience that as you're listening to that person, that's what you come with next. It's really surprising how frequently that happens. And on Wednesday, we'll get into the other side of it, the what does work, and we'll practice it a little bit. So we'll call that good for today. Thanks, everyone. Have a great today.